Welcome. We are a mother-daughter podcast about all things surrogacy. Together, we have brought 8 beautiful babies into this world, and we would like to share through education and knowledge about surrogacy with those who want to educate themselves on the topic. This is Stop.Sit.Surrogate. Have you ever thought about growing your family but aren't sure what your options are? Or maybe you're someone who wants to help others experience the joy of parenthood? That's where Northwest Surrogacy Center comes in. Northwest Surrogacy Center is a full-service surrogacy agency that guides intended parents and surrogates through every step of the journey, with compassion, transparency, and personalized care. From matching to legal support to emotional wellness, they make what can feel overwhelming feel deeply human and supported. Whether you're considering surrogacy to grow your family or you're ready to become a surrogate yourself, Northwest Surrogacy Center is there to walk beside you every step of the way. Visit northwestsurrogacycenter.com. That's nwsurrogacycenter.com to learn more and take the first step towards something truly life-changing. Northwest Surrogacy Center. Love makes families. Surrogacy makes babies. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Stop.Sit.Surrogate. We are welcomed today by an amazing embryologist who I found on Instagram and was like so fascinated. And you're so nice to have reached back out. So thank you.
Hi,
Would you like to introduce yourself?
amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Lisa. I'm an embryologist and I work in Melbourne, all the way in Australia, so very far away from where Kennedy is. In fact, it's the morning for me right now, and it's
I
like
know.
late afternoon
It's
for
tomorrow for you.
oh my God.
That's so weird. How's the
Yeah.
future?
It's awesome. It's great. Great
Oh,
day. Everything's looking really good.
good, good.
Mhm.
Good.
Right, so a little bit about myself and my work journey. I've been in the fertility industry probably say 15 plus years, maybe
You
almost coming
do
up to 20
not
years.
look like you could be in the industry for 15 plus years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I basically went straight into embryology uh, after graduating from uni. So I did reproduction as a major. I did biomedical sciences. And I guess at that time, IVF was becoming a little bit more talked about. Like doesn't have that, I think, well, I'm sure you would remember like 20 odd years ago, there's a slight shame that comes with doing IVF. Like not many people talk about it. So when I was doing uni, people were talking about it. So it became an option as a career. So I first did an honors degree under Professor David Gardner. You may recognize the name because his name is the name of the Gardner grading system for scoring embryologists. So, when you talk about embryologist grading, like embryo grading,
Yeah.
his system is the most widely used in the world. So I did an honors year under him, fell in love with embryology. I thought it was fascinating that something so small, eggs and sperm, can come together and form a baby.
Right.
So yeah, so then I got a job. I got myself a trainee job in Hong Kong. That's where I started training.
Cool.
Um, and a couple of years in, I was like, oh, I feel like I need to know a little bit more about the science of how everything works. So I went back to Melbourne in Australia and I did a PhD under David Gardner himself. So that was a couple years in, finished my PhD. That was tough, but I got through it.
Bless
That
your
was really
heart.
and then I started working as an embryologist. So I held a couple of different roles. Obviously did all my training, got qualified as an embryologist. I worked as a clinical research embryologist as well. So I ran a couple of clinical research trials. So there was a little bit of science and embryology involved, which was really cool. And then I managed a lab. So I was a lab manager of a really large clinic for the last 6 plus years. And I've recently just moved on to collaborate with two medical doctors. And they've started a brand new clinic, like a small boutique, brand new clinic in Australia. And I'm running the lab there. So that's my journey so far. And it's
What a journey.
It's been awesome. And because of the fact that I'm now running the lab the way I want it to run,
Mm.
um, and and I asked my doctors, hey, is it okay if I put a couple of clips on social media? And it took off. It took off
Ah,
in a couple of months. And I guess everybody was really interested in it, to see
that's
how it works.
yes.
Obviously, it comes with a lot of controversy.
Don't
There's a
you
lot of
love
people,
it though?
oh, gosh,
Do
I
you
love
like
it.
it?
I don't know. I mean, at the beginning, maybe I guess I'm in a little bubble where
Sure.
where everyone accepts IVF for what it is. I
Right.
don't. Yeah, like I
Right.
work with people that obviously works in IVF. My friends are pretty accepting of my job. Otherwise, they won't be
Right.
friends with me.
Right. Right.
So I guess it was a bit confronting initially to receive a lot
Sure.
of comments about why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
look, at the end of the day, I'm really here for the patients who are going through it.
Hmm.
There is so much with IVF. It's impossible to explain to a patient that what they're going through has happened before.
Right.
It's not new what they're going through. So I try to share these stories on Instagram because at least if it happens and they see it there,
Yeah.
they can relate, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's
Feel
a
less
way.
alone.
Yeah, yeah. It's really hard if because there are a lot of negative results that happens or like
Yeah.
unexpected turn of events in IVF.
Yeah.
And and then you try and tell them after, oh, actually it happens in 5%. And then they're like, oh, you're just making it up. Like and I'm like, no, not really.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah.
like you say, right? Like this is still science. Like it's gotten, we were talking a little bit before this, and I had mentioned that my mom, they threw
Mm,
food at her. They would never do that now. Right? Because science has come such a far way, but it's still science. It's not perfect. So
mm.
yeah, it is. You still have a slight gamble, but it's a better, your odds are better, right? Than they
Yes,
are not.
so much better. So much
Yeah.
better. It's increased significantly. It's obviously not perfect. Everyone wants to just do IVF once and have the
For sure.
family that
What a
they want.
dream.
Oh, I believe one day in the future it's going to
Yeah.
improve to a point where, everything's much better, but
Yeah.
that takes time, money, and research. So,
Right.
mm, mm.
So you said research. So I'm a little curious. I kind of want to back up a bit. So you said that you were doing research beforehand, like
Yes.
research on what is that? Like what are you researching with the embryos?
Well, it could be anything,
Oh,
but the
okay.
few projects that I collaborated with, the first one that was just recently published actually was the inclusion of antioxidants in the culture media, so the solution where the embryo grow.
Right.
So with the research team has included like specific antioxidants into it to try and help the embryos grow better. So that
Oh,
was part of research. So in order to, that was like from 10 years worth of work where it started by, adding it in mice, right? Because you got to have basis. You
right.
can't just have an idea and then do it on
Right.
human embryos. So ethically,
Right.
that is so wrong. So they started all that groundwork in mice. They proved that conceptually it does translate to better embryo outcomes, like in terms of grading and gene expression, et cetera, et
Wow.
cetera. And then it eventually moved into human trials where patients were voluntarily signed up for it. And then the gold standard of most research is something called a randomized controlled trial, RCTs, where a patient will sign up to the trial. They don't know whether they get the antioxidants or not. So it's completely
Oh,
blinded, like there's no bias to it.
right.
You look at the results and you compare it and see if it actually works. So that was one of the research
That's
projects I was involved in.
that's so cool. Okay, now so whenever we have people on that like are smarter than me, I call myself a civilian because I'm like the civilian. No, you're so smart. So what in the world is a gene expression?
Um, I like to describe it as a series of instructions, really.
Okay.
So we've got DNA. That's the set of instructions inside the embryo, and the embryo has to read the instructions and then carry it out. So gene expression
Okay.
is basically carrying out the set of instructions. So that's
Oh. Oh my gosh, I feel smarter now. Thank you. And I have to backtrack because you kind of just flew over the fact that you learned from one of the greats, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like no big deal. Like no big deal at all. So you literally did you like literally work with him?
Yeah, yeah. David Gardner was my PhD professor. He's an amazing man.
Holy cow.
And I've worked with him closely for maybe ten plus years. Um,
Wow. That's a
yeah,
huge honor. That's very cool.
it is. It is. Yeah, yeah.
I just we had to touch on that because you were just saying it like it was nothing. I'm
Well,
like,
I
what?
don't know if many patients know about him, in the IVF world,
Yeah,
every doctor, every scientist knows of his name.
for
But
sure. Yeah.
I'm assuming most of our listeners will be patients. So
Yes. Yes.
yes.
A patience of some type. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay, so in kind of like a nutshell, could you, if for someone who's like completely new to IVF, could you like give a quick overview of the process from like
Mhm.
start to finish?
Yeah. So a really quick overview. I would say you are obviously trying to get pregnant with IVF. So to do that, to maximize the chances, you would try and rather than getting that one egg that ovulate that comes through every month, you would take hormonal injections,
Okay.
take a series of injections over a couple of days to try and recruit every single follicle that grows inside the ovaries. With each follicle, hopefully there'll be an egg inside it. And then as a result, the patient will then have a egg collection surgery where the doctor will collect as many eggs as they can,
Okay.
hands it over to the IVF lab, where they will then fertilize all the eggs with sperm from the partner. And then we'll grow the embryos out for a couple of days. Depending on the treatment, we may either transfer the embryo, the best embryo, just one usually.
Right. Yeah.
We'll put it back, and hopefully the patient gets pregnant. Any extra embryos will be frozen.
Okay.
There are additional testing that can be done for the embryos. So if
Yes.
that's something that the patient and the doctor has discussed, we will test the embryos first before freezing them.
So when it
And
comes to testing, sorry, when it comes to testing, are you the one doing the testing?
that's me.
That is
So
you.
that is me. That is the embryologist in the lab. So
Okay.
um, testing usually refers to PGT,
Yes.
pre-implantation genetic testing, where a small amount of cells is taken from the embryo, and then those cells are sent off for genetic analysis. We determine if the embryo is carrying the right amount of DNA. Um,
Okay.
and then we can tell the doctor which embryo is better. And then we try and prioritize the embryo to put back. And that way we maximize the chances of pregnancy.
Okay. So for PGT, because
Mhm.
so me being a surrogate, all of the embryos that I've had transferred into me had PGT testing, and never in my
Yeah.
life did I ask what it is because I'm just like, sure, yeah, okay, that's normal. So you just said that it's like you're making sure that it has like all the DNA. Is there like specific markers that would be off?
Specific chromosomes.
Okay.
So most of the time it's because the older
Uh-huh.
the women are, the higher the chances of the eggs not having the right amount of DNA.
Right. Okay.
So so even though we may make five embryos,
Mm-hmm.
um, they maybe only four of them, sorry, maybe only one of them is
Right.
genetically normal. And you can't tell the difference. They all look like beautiful, perfectly suitable embryos.
Okay.
Um, but maybe only one of them is genetically normal. If you
Okay.
don't test these embryos, you will end up putting one after one in maybe 4 months before you get pregnant, and you won't know why. Um,
Okay.
DGT is a way of sort of um, changing the order in which the embryos are put back in, because we know that that particular one is normal. Um, and correct. So it will also reduce the chances of miscarriage.
Okay.
If the DNA isn't balanced, then
Right.
yeah, then it may implant and then cause a miscarriage, which is
Okay.
obviously not great for the patient, or surrogate.
Okay. And then because we're talking about PGT, I'm also curious about, and now I haven't been around for a while for this, the one that starts with an N, the NIPT? NIP? No?
Nip testing,
Yeah,
that's
that.
after you get pregnant.
That's after. You can't do that before.
No, you can't do that before. That's
Okay, so the
after you.
PGT is before and the NIPT is after.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then never mind. Um,
I do want to add though,
yeah.
what I do find interesting is I believe, I may be wrong, I believe in the US, PGT is used widely. So a lot of clinics do it, a lot of clinics recommend it
Yes.
routinely for all patients.
Yes.
Whereas in Australia, the practice is a little bit different. I would say it's usually only recommended to women who are like 37 and older. Of course,
Oh,
it's doctor dependent and it's also patient dependent. So if you're a 30-year-old and you've had recurrent miscarriages, then yes, we would recommend that. But
okay.
we don't, I don't like PGT is not used as widely in Australia compared to the US.
So it's not like a standard thing, because like here it's very rare for it to not have the PGT testing done.
Correct. Yeah, it's not standard in Australia. And there are reasons for that. It's ridiculously expensive. I,
Oh,
I
sure.
don't know how much it costs in the US, but in Australia, it costs, I would say maybe $800 Australian per embryo tested,
Oh, per embryo.
per embryo. So how much would that be? I mean, I don't know the exchange
Probably
rate.
close. I feel like probably close-ish. I feel like Australia's kind of close with our money when it comes to countries.
Yeah. So it's a lot of money per
Yeah.
because it's per embryo tested. And there is a small chance that the embryo may be damaged during the process. Because
Mm.
if I don't know if you remember the video you watched, but it does look a little bit brutal. We're
Oh,
literally taking cells from the embryo.
it looks like you're ripping it.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
it doesn't visually, it's not great. I
yeah.
promise if done properly, it is very safe.
Okay.
Um, but there's always a risk, right? Every time we're
Right.
touching something so tiny,
They're so
um,
tiny. Yeah.
there is a risk that something bad may happen.
Yeah.
Um, and there's always, you can do the test and it can have an ambiguous result. So it's not always
Okay.
happy days with PGT.
Right.
So in Australia, we don't recommend it for all patients. But I do know it's widely recommended in US.
It is. I didn't know that it wasn't in Australia, so look at that.
And it's actually illegal in some conservative countries.
To get the PGT testing?
Correct. Yeah, yeah. Like
Really?
some Asian countries and some European countries where it's actually illegal to do this sort of testing. Um,
Wow. I mean, I guess that doesn't shock me to hear. I mean, a little bit, but not super much because I know, like, in Canada, I don't know how it is in Australia, but like in Canada, you can't find out if it's a boy or a girl. Like, you're not allowed.
Same.
Okay, same. Okay. Oh, wow. US, what are we doing? Okay. So you can't find out in Australia either.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. Okay. I guess it
Yeah.
makes sense. I guess.
Everywhere's a little bit different. I think there's
Yeah.
pros and cons to the different ways the system is done. So,
Yeah. Well, pros and cons. Like, what are some misconceptions about IVF, do you think?
ooh, I mean, like, I feel like a lot of people think it's a guarantee, or maybe
Sure.
not so much anymore, but there are
I
maybe the younger
more
generation.
so. I think it's more like, yeah, I would say it's like a more of a guarantee like mindset. Like, oh, okay, IVF, like at some point even if I have three failed transfers, it's gonna work type thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there will be patients where it won't work for them.
Right.
Um, so, so yeah, I would say maybe that's a number one thing. But with education, I do feel like a lot of people now understand that age is a big factor.
Sure.
Um, and then I guess the second misconception, let me think. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
so yeah. What would you say?
With IVF, I don't know if it's a misconception rather than like the way that people have talked negatively about it in the sense of like, oh, IVF is it's well, I've heard IVF is the easy way, and I'm like, that's complete BS. It's so not true. That's beyond beyond the truth. And the other one is like playing God, right? Like you're picking which one's the best, which one's the prettiest, which one's gonna have blue eyes, which one, like all these kind of things, right? Like a designer baby. And I'm
Mm.
like, I don't think IVF is like that.
I'm just glad to get an embryo for a patient, let alone
Right.
like we're not picking anything here. We're just trying to get them pregnant.
Yeah, exactly. Just a healthy embryo. We don't care what color eyes, what color hair. We don't care. Yeah. Yeah. But those are the ones that I've heard. And I'm like, maybe we should read a book. Thinking about becoming a surrogate? It's a life changing decision, and you deserve expert guidance every step of the way. That's where Serene Surrogacy Partners comes in. Serene Surrogacy Partners is a reputable, experienced surrogacy agency dedicated to supporting women like you with thorough screening, legal protection, and comprehensive medical and emotional care. As a surrogate, you'll be matched with intended parents who align with your values, and you'll have a dedicated case manager throughout the journey. Compensation is fair and transparent, and your health and well being always come first. If you've ever considered surrogacy, start by getting the facts. Visit serenesurrogacypartners.com to learn more or apply confidentially. That's serenesurrogacypartners.com. So, what's the difference between a fresh versus a frozen embryo transfer?
Yes. So after an IVF cycle, so you've just had the egg collection surgery,
Mhm.
then you've created luckily, if you're lucky, you create a bunch of embryos.
Yeah.
You can actually transfer one immediately, usually 5 days after egg collection. And that is called a fresh embryo transfer. So it means the
Five
embryo.
days. Sorry, so you can wait 5 days. So when the egg is retrieved, does it immediately go into the next room and that's where you put like the sperm to meet the egg?
Yes, so on the day the egg is retrieved, so the day that the patient goes through surgery,
Yeah.
on that day itself, we will fertilize the egg with sperm.
Okay.
That's day zero. And
Okay.
then the next day is day one, and then day two, day three, day four. So on day five, we can try and see which one's the best embryo, and then we can put and select and put the best embryo back. That is called a fresh embryo transfer. So it
Okay.
means that the embryo has never been frozen. It's, you know, literally just 5 days after a collection, and we
Yeah.
put it. Um, and any other embryos, we don't want it to go to waste. You've gone through 2 weeks of injections to create
Right.
these embryos, so we can freeze them, and then if the fresh one didn't work
Mm.
in the next menstrual cycle, we will then warm the embryo up and put it back, and that's called a frozen embryo transfer.
Okay. So, a couple questions. So, blastocysts, is that happening before they're being frozen? Like, are we waiting for that?
Yeah. So blastocyst is a stage in the embryo growth.
Mhm.
So really, you can call it an embryo every single day. So on day one, it's an embryo, and day two, it's an embryo, day three.
Mhm.
But we do have specific terminology for each day.
Okay.
So this is a day five or a day six embryo.
Okay. And
So it's a
that's when you would freeze it?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
That's when we would either do genetic testing. So it's
Okay.
the procedure is actually called embryo biopsy, where we're taking a little bit of cells out. um, or we can freeze. So that's the blastocyst stage.
Wow. Okay. And now I have a personal question because we're on this. What's a zygote?
A zygote is, oh, you're testing me now, but it's a very early stage embryo. So a zygote I believe. Oh, I feel like I need to fact
Oh, I'm
check this.
so sorry. While you're looking that up, I'll give a little background. It's because I was recently on a journey and my IM needed to get some zygotes to do this procedure that she's trying to do. And I, for the life of me, could not figure out what a zygote was.
So it's a fertilized egg.
Okay.
Mm. So if you imagine we've just collected eggs from the patient,
Yes.
and on the same day we've put sperm into the egg,
Yeah.
uh, either through IVF or ICSI, where we inject one sperm into each egg.
Oh,
About 16 to 18 hours later, we will see signs of fertilization. So once
okay.
we've confirmed that, that is now called a zygote.
Wow. Okay, so that's quick.
Well, 16, 18 hours,
Yeah,
quick.
well, like ish. Yeah.
So it's still a one cell embryo and it hasn't technically divided into two cells yet. It's still one cell, but we can see signs of fertilization. So we can see both mom's DNA and dad's DNA inside it.
That early.
Yes.
Wow, science is awesome. Okay, that's so cool. And back to, thank you for explaining that. So, but back to fresh and frozen. There's always been this debate that I hear among the community, like fresh is better to do a transfer, or I don't know. Have you heard of that? Have you heard that? Is there like truly one side?
No, there's so many nuances to it. And
Yeah,
there's so many of these debates. So it's not just fresh versus frozen. There's day three versus day fives.
right.
There's versus ICSI. Anything you can think of, it's out there.
Oh,
There
funny.
isn't a one-sided argument to it. It really depends on the patient's history, right?
Okay.
I'll give you an example. Let's say the patient is a 30-year-old who created 10 embryos,
Okay.
and then she may take 5 to 8 months to go through the 10 embryos before she finds the one with the correct amount of chromosomes in it.
Okay.
It's better for her in that respect to perhaps have done PGT, like the genetic testing,
Hmm.
freeze the embryos, figure out which ones are the ones with the highest potential, and put it back, right? On the flip side, you may have, for example, a 41-year-old patient who's got a low AMH and only creates two eggs every cycle.
Okay.
Um, and there's nothing to select for. She only gets one embryo per cycle. So maybe you should just put it back, right?
Got it.
However, However, maybe that patient has had miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage and doesn't want to go through that heartache anymore. Then maybe she will choose to test that embryo, freeze it, and only transfer it when it's
Okay.
genetically normal. So it really depends on the patient
Yeah.
and it depends on what they're going through, and the doctor will discuss all those different options with them and decide what's best.
I cannot pronounce this word, so we're gonna see. Can you
Sure.
explain? I'm going to give you the abbreviation, the ICSI. I'm not even going to attempt. You know what? I'll attempt. Intracytoplasmic sperm injection.
Great job.
Oh
Great
my
job.
gosh, I'm so smart. Okay, there you go. Is that what you were talking about?
ICSI.
ICSI. Oh, you're calling it ICSI. I thought it was going to help.
We call it ICSI.
Okay.
Um, ICSI is a form of fertilization for the egg. So there's two main methods to
Okay.
fertilize the egg. The first one is to process the sperm and mix a whole bunch of sperm with the egg
Yeah, the
and
where they like fight and like swim in the dish, right?
let the swimmers do its own job, find the eggs and fertilize it. So that's
Okay.
the natural way. That's called IVF, actually.
Oh,
Just yeah,
just
in vitro fertilization is just called
okay.
IVF. Yeah.
Perfect.
Second method, and I would say most people have seen like the video on TV where you see one needle
Hmm.
piercing, that is ICSI. Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause it's ICSI stands for intracytoplasmic, which means a needle going in inside the cytoplasm injection. So we select the embryologist will select one single sperm and then we will inject it into the egg directly.
Why?
Mostly for male factor related infertility issues. So for example,
Oh.
the male patients have a really low sperm count, or perhaps their swimmers are not swimming very
Hmm.
well.
Okay.
They need a little bit more help getting inside the egg. That's when
Oh,
ICSI is really helpful. Because naturally the sperm is not going to find its own way into the egg.
right. Oh, look at that. I love learning that from the other side because being a woman in surrogacy, I just always am like egg, 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 but that makes a lot of sense. That's actually pretty cool. I think we kind of went over this, but what factors have the biggest impact on IVF success rates? Well, yeah, well, is that even like a true question?
Yeah, it is, but there's so many. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is actually just age,
Oh,
age of
okay.
the women,
Yeah.
um, and that's a really hard one to share because you can't change anything about that.
Yeah.
And sometimes like it's easy to say just have kids younger, but you might not be ready. You may not have found the right partner. You may not be in the
Right.
right stage of life. So,
Right. And not everybody has the money to go freeze their eggs.
oh, correct.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a whole different can of worms that we haven't.
Right.
Yeah, it's just yeah. So, but age,
Okay.
unfortunately, has the single biggest impact.
So is
Like,
age because now my understanding of that is because the older that the woman is, right, the less viable the egg is. Like it's just not healthy, is my understanding. Like strong.
yeah, yeah. So we're born with all the eggs we've ever had
Yeah.
um, since birth. So we're
Crazy.
carrying eggs that we've ever had the minute a woman's born.
Hmm.
And as you go through puberty, that's when the ovaries start kicking in, and every month a bunch of follicles will start growing, and the
Hmm.
most dominant follicle will release one egg each month. So that's the
Okay.
menstrual cycle, and that's the ovulation that comes with every single month. But as we age, the mechanisms for sort of doing all that doesn't work as well. So the
Okay.
eggs that are then released tend to have an unbalanced amount of chromosomes in it, DNA,
Okay.
which means that even if you try and fertilize that embryo, it will either not grow, or it may grow and not implant, or it may implant and miscarry. So the
Okay.
old the women typically above the fertility just starts declining from age 22 to 24, and it's a slow
I'm
decline. I
sorry,
know
did you just say 22 to 24?
that's unfortunately the way nature
No
works.
way.
There's a slow decline from it peaks at about very young 20s. There's a slow decline up until age 30. Between 30 to 35, there's a slightly steeper decline. Between 35 to 40, there's another bigger drop. And then from 40 onwards, it is a pretty steep decline. So the success rates for IVF does drop significantly per age group.
That is my mind is blown right now. I was not expecting you to say anything. I just turned 30 and I'm like, uh-oh, okay, we gotta go. Oh my, that's crazy.
I don't want any of the listeners to feel stressed out about it. You can't turn back the clock on
No, for
time.
sure. And it's healthy to most women these days tend to have their babies, in their 30s. A lot of women tend to have babies in their 30s. You're establishing careers and things like that. So there's no I was just mind blown to hear you say 22 to 24. That's really, really young. That's really young.
The bodies work. But there are obviously people do get pregnant naturally in their 40s. Like that's
Right.
not doesn't happen. Um, but just don't ever be the one that will think that it's a guarantee if in the 40s.
Right.
Like that's definitely I don't want people to take away from this podcast thinking that
Yeah.
it's
Like, don't wait. Like, yeah, like
if you have a
you're not going
choice.
to be the unicorn. Like, I'm just going to like put it bluntly. Like, just like, yeah, we don't want a chance being a unicorn. Like, yeah.
Correct.
Um, so you mentioned follicles, and I mean, I watch all of the med shows, like Grey's Anatomy and everything. And I'm just like, I just like nod my head along. But since you're here, I'm going to ask you. So, if you have a lot of follicles, is that good? Does that mean anything? Like if you're able to amp up your follicles, does that really mean anything for retrieving more eggs?
Yes. So typically, the higher your AMH, so AMH is anti-Müllerian hormone. It's typically one of the first few blood tests that doctors may recommend for their patients. It's a good and bad test
Okay.
because it shows your ovarian reserve. So it does tell you
Oh,
how likely you are to retrieve eggs in an IVF cycle. But what
okay.
it doesn't tell you is the quality of the eggs, right?
Right.
So in
Oh,
the IVF lab, we actually often say we would rather one good egg than 10 bad eggs.
okay, that's fair.
We need the one good egg. Like it's
Right.
not, it doesn't mean much if we're going to have many, many follicles
Yeah.
if they all produce bad quality eggs.
Right. And can the AMH tell you if it can't tell you if it's going to be good quality, right? Is there a test that will tell you that before? No, there's not yet.
Yeah, not yet,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And I
Okay.
don't there will be one, to be honest, just because the way the eggs grow, it's impossible to test for
To
it
figure it
until
out.
you actually ovulate.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting. Huh. Yeah, that is a good and bad, I guess.
It's good and
Because
bad, yeah. The AMH test is still a very important test because if you
okay.
have a low AMH, then it's a good sign to try and do something about it because it declines with age. So if you have a low AMH at a young age, you may want to freeze some eggs because you will
Ah,
have
because it's
less
just gonna
chance.
go. We just went through those numbers, 22, 24, 30. Like they're going down. Okay. Very
And
interesting.
actually, I actually wanted to share. I do actually have a lot of conversations with patients, and they often say, "But I'm so healthy. I've
Right.
I've exercised my whole life. I don't
Yeah.
smoke, I don't drink, I don't do recreational drugs. Why is this happening to me?" So
Yeah.
I actually do want to share that it's unexplained, right? It can
Right.
happen to the healthiest of person. Um, So yeah, it's just infertility is
Right.
just something shitty that happens to random people.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Because there's no. Yeah. So, because I know that that was like also a misconception of this IVF world, right? It's like, oh, well, if you do drugs or if you drink or things like that, then yeah, sure, like that'll have an impact on your fertility. And then there are so many healthy people that have never touched anything like that and they have fertility struggles. So, again, science is just real interesting. It's just real interesting. Um, Well, speaking of that though, is there are, do lifestyle factors like diet, stress, like actually play the the impact on IVF outcomes?
Yes, it does.
It
Yes, it does.
does.
It does. Probably not as big of a factor as age,
Okay.
but it absolutely does. So I think it's so. For example, smoking a
Yeah.
big no-no. Like
Oh.
uh, we tell our patients to quit. Both the male and the female
Oh.
should quit. Yeah, males, the husbands.
All types of smoking, not just cigarettes, like all types of recreational everything.
Oh, everything.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. We
Just
just
checking.
our advice is to just quit it if to try and maximize the outcomes.
Right.
So research has shown that it's got lots of negative links. I mean, one can always counter and say, hey, but so and so has chain smoked for 10 years and then still got pregnant naturally. That's always going to happen. But research shows that if you smoke a lot, be it the male or the female, it's going to lower your chances of pregnancy with or without IVF.
Interesting.
And the same goes for recreational drugs. A lot of this haven't been tested
Yeah.
as extensively as smoking.
Okay.
Um, it's quite difficult to try and recruit a people who's going to say, hey, I am doing XYZ drugs
Right. 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 Yeah. People are,
for a study.
we don't do that. What are you talking about? We're healthy people. We,
Yeah,
we don't, we
right.
don't, we don't do anything like that. Does drinking affect it as well? Like the same?
It does. For patients going through IVF, we definitely don't recommend drinking, especially the women.
Weird.
And then men, we typically recommend like, no more than 2 to 4 standard drinks a week, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does affect. Everything does affect, even sleep, stress.
Sleep. Right. And stress, right? That one's a
Yeah.
big one because that takes over your whole nervous system. That I know. Yeah.
A lot of things does affect. Diet does as well.
Oh,
So the higher the BMI, the not so good the results of the embryos.
right.
Um, Obviously, with a higher BMI, there are more obstetric risk to carrying a pregnancy. So we definitely try and recommend controlling that if we can.
Okay.
But for a lot of patients, it's very difficult to try and lose weight, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not like you snap your fingers and you get it done. Like it's
I
a whole
wish.
lifestyle, and for a lot of people, it's very restrictive. Um,
Yes. And
yeah.
when it comes to diet, does it matter if you eat organic? Like I hear that, every now and then, like, oh, you got to eat as healthy as you can, just greens all day long. And it's like, well, I mean, you need some protein.
The standard recommendation is actually the Mediterranean diet, so not necessarily
Oh,
organic or vegetarian. It's actually a balanced diet. So
yes.
Mediterranean, there's meat, there's veggies,
Hmm.
um, healthy nuts and oils in it. I'm not a dietitian, so I can't
Sure.
comment too
No,
much.
you're good. I'm not a dietitian. I have friends that are, but I eat Mediterranean. That's just because I have a lot of stomach problems, but you're just supposed to eat Mediterranean diet anyways to be a healthy person. I put quotes around that. But that's the diet we all should be eating, supposedly. We'll be right back. But first, I want to take a quick moment to talk about something close to my heart, helping families grow through surrogacy. If you've ever thought about becoming a surrogate, or if you're an intended parent ready to start your journey, Paying It Forward Surrogacy is here to guide you every step of the way. At Paying It Forward Surrogacy, you're not just a number. You're supported, celebrated, and connected with real people who've walked this path before. Whether you're just starting to explore or ready to take the next step, they'll make sure you feel informed, empowered, and cared for from day one. Visit payingitforwardsurrogacy.com to learn more. That's payingitforwardsurrogacy.com because every journey to parenthood deserves heart, honesty, and the right support. Now let's get back to the episode. So that makes
Like,
sense.
it's just so many things that affects the chances of pregnancy. And I often, if I do have a chance to speak to a patient, I'm like, do everything you can, but if it's going to stress you out trying to follow a Mediterranean diet, then that's probably not a good thing either. Like,
Right. Yeah.
there's
Don't
such
do something that's going to add stress. Yeah. Interesting. When you said when you get to talk to a patient, do you not get to talk to them that much? Are you like the Wizard of Oz? Like are you just like behind the curtain?
Yeah, so as an embryologist, we actually don't connect with the patients until they are actually having their egg collection surgery, and their embryos are growing inside the lab. So we really only, so the doctors and the nurses sees the patient for the first 2 months leading up
Yeah.
to the whole IVF process. We only see them in the 6 to 7 days when their actual embryos are inside the lab. So
Oh,
that's when
wow.
we give them the results, have a chat. Occasionally, I do speak to patients outside of their cycle, but often we're like sort of hidden behind
The
behind the
curtain.
scenes. No one sees us. We're always just like inside the lab because no one's
It's
allowed.
but it's
Yeah.
always the people that you don't see that do the most important work. You guys are just so busy. You just gotta like hide. Like you don't want the fame. I get it.
Yeah, so I don't get to talk to patients that often, but
Mm.
it's lovely when I do. And they all mean so much to me, like
Oh.
I don't know if they know that.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, I mean, you're working on their, I call them beans. I mean, I call my bean a bean, but like you're working on their little beans. You're working on their little babies. Like it's you would need a certain type of heart to be in this field because again, like we talked about in like that reel that I saw that you did, I'm like, she's I knew you weren't, but it looks aggressive. Like, it like looks like it's being pulled, which blows my mind that you're not actually damaging like the future human that it's going to turn out to be. Like you're not taking a finger off. Like I know that sounds weird, but when you take some cells away, it's shocking.
Look, the first time I went into IVF, I'm just like, this is what we're doing. We're sticking a giant needle into an egg and it's fine. But
Right.
yes, it's amazing. Like, hats off to whoever invented that scientist. Actually, I think I met him in person like 20 years ago. That was very cool.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
yeah, Japanese guy, professor. So
How cool. You've just met everyone. I
I'm
love
older
it.
than
Um, so okay, so I know that I'm pretty sure I know this answer, but I know a lot of people always ask it, and that is, well, the question I have here, but it's like, can you explain implantation failure and what causes it? And I'm gonna let you answer, but I feel like I know your answer.
what do you think I'm
I
gonna say?
think your answer, well, I think your answer would be we don't know what causes it. Like it's right. Like we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. If the embryos haven't been tested,
Yeah.
then I would say
Mm,
the single biggest factor is actually just chromosomal abnormalities inside the embryos,
okay.
right? But we know that even with PGT normal embryos,
Hmm.
even if you put one back in, it may not always take. Like
Right.
it's never a guarantee.
Right.
And we don't know why. It could be anything. It could be the uterine environment for whatever
Right.
reason wasn't playing ball that month.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It could be stress. It could be yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's
Mhm.
like a whole bunch you'll just you just won't know. You
Just
just don't
won't
know.
know it. And I
Yeah.
think that hurts a lot of patients. A lot of patients go down the rabbit hole of trying to understand why. They go
Right.
through so many types of testing out there, immunology testing, like bacterial microbiome testing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
There's
it's
this
got to be heartbreaking. I mean, you go through all of these injections, you go through all of this planning, you go through all this money, you go through all this hope, and then when it doesn't take, it like feels like your heart's ripped out. Like it's a lot. Yeah. If only there were answers, because I know right, if there were answers, then there would never be failures.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there are some research coming out that does show that it could actually be genetic
Oh,
mutations that patients have that causes whatever reason. But there's so many different variations out there um, that it's quite difficult to sort of
narrow it
categorize.
down. Yeah. Very interesting. Huh. And then just so fascinating. I could literally sit here and talk to you for like days. This is like I'm amazed. Um, okay. Are there emerging technologies in IVF testing or embryo selection we should be watching?
So many.
Really?
There is quite a lot, and I think it's because tech is really catching up on the whole IVF field. So in my new lab, we've actually started incorporating AI, artificial intelligence, in the
Oh,
assessment of embryos.
oh,
So, so when we grow the embryos, we actually put it inside a time-lapse incubator. What that means is that there's a camera inside the incubator, and every 10 minutes, it takes a photo of the embryo at
okay.
different focal planes. So, over the course of 5 days, with a picture taken every 10 minutes at like, all these different focal planes, you've got thousands and thousands of photos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when time lapse first came about, like the embryologist would literally scroll through the photos and try and make some sense of it and try and decide, like, use that information to try and decide whether or not this embryo is better than the other embryo. But now we've got AI. So AI can now do it in like seconds. Like you press a button and then it just scans through all of those images and try and correlate that and find the best embryo for selection. So amazing.
Wow, that saves somebody a lot of time.
I mean, it's still sort of like I use it in parallel with like the
Okay.
traditional embryo grading system, mostly because it's quite a new technology and I don't want to trust it 100%.
Right.
So I sort of use it at the same time to sort of
Yeah.
help assist or make sure it aligns with my decision in which
Right.
embryo. But I'm sure in time it's going to become
Yeah.
the
Eh,
technology.
Standard. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
W-
So
Um,
that's
oh,
like
yeah,
AI.
that's that one.
Yeah, AI is now being used in stimulation protocols, like picking the best one for the patients. They're using AI in like
Wow.
analyzing genetics inside the embryo. It's used in so many ways. It's amazing.
It's
There's
kind of
even
creepy, but also fun.
they're even using it in like ultrasound scanning, like determining
Really?
for sizes. Like it's used in so many ways now, and I think in the next 5 to 10 years, it's gonna really become the gold standard.
Wow. That's crazy. I never thought I honestly, I really thought AI was Chat GPT. I'm like, yes, this is my whole life. Like literally Chat GPT is my whole life. Like I'm there 24/7. And so like I find that fascinating that AI is really like super
Being able
helpful and can like do all these amazing things.
So
That's
that's definitely, I would say, already in a lot of labs, already used in many ways, and it's only going to be more.
yeah.
And the second emerging technologies I would share is actually robotics. So there's a lab in Mexico that's already pioneering and creating babies from robotic machines that does all the actual work. So that the ICSI procedure that we were just talking about,
Yeah.
where a scientist would sit behind a microscope and control a needle going into the egg,
Right. The robot.
that can be done by robots now. So
Wow,
Mm.
that's pretty cool. That's because you must need, I wasn't even thinking, you must need a really sturdy hand to do that, right? Like,
I quit coffee when I first started training
did you
because
say
I
you drink coffee?
I quit
Oh,
coffee.
you quit. I'm like, you needed it?
No,
Okay.
I had to quit coffee because I was just shaking and I
Oh,
just
wow.
I mean, I was a trainee, right? I was nervous. Like I had
Sure.
a like watching over my shoulder, like trying to make sure I'm not doing the right thing.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it comes with time and practice and just
Yeah.
experience. Like now I can inject and I can chat at the same time. Like it comes so naturally to me.
Sure. When you've done it for a while. Yeah, it's just like muscle memory at that point.
Yeah, just muscle memory. But at the beginning, I was just like, how does anyone do this?
Right. Yeah. Well, it's such a delicate procedure that, yeah. Oh, that's so crazy. I have two questions left. Are we good on time?
Yeah, yeah, we're good on time. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I'm just making sure. Okay. Can you just kind of graze over grading? Because you always hear like, oh, like I'm probably gonna say them wrong. Like, what is it? Like double A or like 4A or something,
Yep,
right? And like you want like AA or AB or am I right?
yep, correct.
Okay. So
I
does
can, I can,
yeah.
I can go over it quickly.
Okay.
So the grading system for blastocysts. So we're
Mhm.
talking about day 5 or day 6 embryos.
Okay. And that's what you're
Um,
grading. That's what your grade is going off of.
Correct. That's what we're grading. And like I said, the most common grading system is the Gardner grading system. So that he invented the 4AA or like the 5AA. That's the
Right.
system. Essentially, it runs off a number followed by two letters. So the number runs from 1 to 6. If you imagine one is like like a golf ball, a tiny little golf ball, and six is like a massive basketball. So it's something to do
Okay.
with, all right. And the larger it is, the more advanced it is.
Which is
Yeah,
good.
which is good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's important to think about which day you're grading. So I'll get into it in a little
Sure.
bit. But and then the next two letters grades the inner cell mass, which becomes the future baby. So
Okay.
it's a ball of cells inside the embryo. That ball of cells becomes the baby. The second letter grades the trophectoderm cells, which becomes the future placenta.
Oh,
So you need both to be a good quality because you can't have a baby without a placenta. And you can't, if you have a placenta and no baby, that's not going to be that's not going to
right.
work out. So you need ideally the best sort of gradings on a day five embryo is typically around a 4AA or a 5AA embryo,
Okay.
right?
Those are top notch.
Those are top notch. That's
Okay.
like best of its class.
Okay.
If you let the day five embryo continue growing, so it's growing continuously, a 4AA should become a 5AA, and then it should become a 6AA, right? Because
Okay.
it's always, you're never looking at it. It's not stationary unless you freeze it. So
Right.
if you let it continue growing, it's just gonna keep keep going all the way.
Growing.
Yeah. The thing about grading, though, is that a CC embryo can still become a healthy baby,
Okay.
right? So I tend to tell my patients grading is very, it's kind of like a beauty contest, is how a
Okay.
lot of people describe it. It doesn't really, it like we know that the chances of an AA embryo is much higher than a CC embryo,
Sure.
but a CC embryo still has a chance. And I would
Okay.
always like transfer it if that's the only embryo that the patient has. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, I try not to dwell on it. If there's discussion about the grading, then we will share that, it's not going to be as high as we think it's going to be, the chances of you being pregnant. But if it takes, happy days, right? If
Right.
it works, great. Like that's awesome. And if
Right.
it doesn't, then we do it all over again and we try to get a better grade. So that's the grading system in a nutshell.
No, that's great.
And for any patients that are listening, please don't compare your embryo grading with someone else's embryo grading because
Why?
every single lab is different.
Okay.
Um, Embryo grading is really subjective. Like you've
Oh.
seen, oh my God, like
Oh.
so, oh my God, it's
I,
so subjective.
really?
Oh, yes, there's so many studies on there. So studies have shown that what someone may call an AA, another
Yeah.
lab or a BB or a BA or
Really?
a it can be anything. It's so variable. Um,
That's interesting. So, well, because I'm shocked to hear that because the guy that you worked with, right, and the guy that created this, he clearly they're going off of his system. So how is it so different?
it's just because the cells are so variable, like these cells inside the embryo, it's all based off like a picture.
Okay.
Um, it's just really difficult, and there's so many variation between it. And then especially for those embryos that's sort of in between a grade,
Oh,
like someone may call it this, and then someone may call it that.
sure.
And that's how technology like AI can be really useful because AI is just going to do the same thing every single time.
Okay.
Um, a really fun fact, they've actually shown that the same embryologist, so the same person, if you give them the same picture at different times, they may score it differently.
Really?
Correct. And that's how subjective it is. So not only is there subjectiveness between labs, even the same person can score it differently. They've even associated hangry, like
Right,
if
like
someone
before coffee, after coffee.
correct. And they will change the grading system. There's even things like patient medical history. So, for example, if they know the patient has been through 10 cycles of IVF and this is all they've got, then they may be a little bit more lenient with the grading.
Okay.
So Yeah, never compare your own embryo grading with anybody else's. I'd say have that discussion with your doctor and your team. What are my chances of success? Is there a chance? If there's a chance, I would say go for it.
Okay, perfect.
That's
And then,
sort of
no, I thank you.
message.
That's like a fantastic explanation. I am going to throw a little curveball in there, and I'm going to
Go.
ask you to explain a mosaic.
Oh,
I know. The amount of times I get asked, because I've had a couple girls on the podcast and they've transferred mosaics and some worked out and some didn't. For the life of me, I still can't explain a mosaic.
So mosaic is a result that comes from PGT tested embryos. So
Okay.
embryos that we've sent for genetic testing, and the results will come back as either normal, abnormal, and mosaic is in between, right?
Okay.
So the way I would explain mosaicism is I think we can all imagine how an embryo grows. You've gone from one cell, it divides into two cell.
Hmm.
Each of those cell divides into two. So then you've got four cell. Four cells become eight cells
Right.
become 16 cells, right?
Hmm.
If you imagine when it's going from 8 cells to 16 cells, one of those 8 cells has a little error in reading the instructions
Oh,
and it's done something wrong.
okay.
All of a sudden, out of 16 cells, so you've gone from 8 to 16, two out of the 16 now has that error, right?
Oh, okay.
When you go from 16 to 32 cells, now, oh, I've got to do my math, but now four of those cells out of
Right.
32 cells has an error.
Okay. And it keeps multiplying.
And it keeps multiplying.
Okay.
So this really depends at what point did that error happen. You don't know. It could have happened at the 2 cell stage, which means half of the embryo has that error. Or it
Okay.
could have happened much later and only a tiny amount of those cells have that error, right?
Okay.
When we do genetic testing, we've got a whole embryo. It contains about, I would say, anywhere between 100 to 200, maybe even 300 cells.
Okay.
We are taking a small amount of cells, around 5 cells. That location where we take that cells could be the difference. Because if I happen to take those cells and three
Oh,
out of five of them has that error, then I have a mosaic result because I took 5 cells, three has an error, two doesn't, and I've now got a in-between result.
interesting. So if you took it from the other side, right? Like, because you're not going to know where this is, but if you took it from the other side and there were no errors,
Yep.
then you're not even going to know that there are errors.
So now it's now reported as normal,
Right.
but actually there are some errors in there and we didn't know.
Very, very interesting. So the errors, does that mean that it's like there's like problems with DNA? Like, is that what the errors are?
Most commonly, it's the number of chromosomes are wrong.
Okay.
Um, so the most famous would be trisomy 21, or otherwise known as Down syndrome. That's one that a lot of people know about.
Okay.
But it's plus or minus chromosomes, and it all has to do with the DNA replication and the sorting out process during the division of cells.
Okay. I'm gonna ask one more question because you said Down syndrome. So would a mosaic, if I got an embryo graded and it's then, it comes back mosaic, do
Mhm.
I now have the conversation of this could possibly be Down syndrome? Or is that not that high on the list?
So a mosaic embryo, usually it's classified as like a high level mosaicism or low level.
Hmm.
So if, for example, if one out of the 5 cells is mosaic, then that's low level.
Okay.
But if three out of five, then maybe that's higher. And it depends on the type of errors that the test has picked up. So it probably won't necessarily be trisomy 21 or Down syndrome.
Okay.
Um, that will be like the whole embryo
Okay.
has an extra set of trisomy number 21.
Okay.
So yeah, it probably wouldn't really be that.
Be like that. Okay.
Yeah.
And
And
you
different
said low. Oh, sorry. You said low and high. So you want the low mosaic. Low mosaic is better than high mosaic?
Yeah, but
Oh,
again, it like you said, if
yeah.
I've taken the cells from a different spot, my result
Right.
may be
You're
different,
not
you
gonna
know.
know.
And
Right.
that's the controversy that comes with PGT. Like there are researchers and scientists and doctors out there who don't believe in PGT, because there is a limitation of the test,
Mm,
right?
right.
Because with the amount of cells we take isn't reflective of the whole embryo.
Okay.
Um,
And that's what the
but
NIP is for, right?
yes, so the NIP does. So even if you've done PGT and you get pregnant, we would still recommend a NIP test
Mm-hmm.
to make sure everything's working fine.
Right. Wow.
Mhm.
This is you're fascinating. You're absolutely fascinating. I was gonna ask my next question, but you answered it because it was, how do you see genetic testing and AI shaping IVF in the next 5 to 10 years? But you said AI is gonna take over. It's gonna be standard.
I'm really enjoying this. It's
No, this
great.
is amazing. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is phenomenal. I literally want to come to Melbourne and have tea with you now and do all the
That'll be
fun
cool.
things.
Make
Um,
that trip. 20
well,
hours.
say it again.
I said make that trip. You
I
should make
know, my gosh, I need to. I would love to. It's on my bucket list. Um, I'm not even going to ask that question because we really went over it. But so, is there anything else that you want to say about IVF, about embryos, about anything like that that maybe has a misconception or just like a PSA for people?
Um, I think as an embryologist, my priority is the IVF lab. And I actually do want to share that there are a lot of different types of labs out there, IVF lab. So every single lab is different. It could come down to the brand of incubators, the type of culture media where they grow the embryos are. It's really variable between IVF labs all around the world. And my point of saying that is that the quality of your IVF lab does affect the quality of your embryos. So that's sort of why I actually started my own Instagram account, because I really wanted to share like what I believe is a good quality lab.
Okay.
Um, so I'm not trying to shut down or
Sure.
say the labs are bad. Like
Right.
it's
No, for
it's
sure.
purely because there's been so many changes in the last 40 plus years, and
Yeah.
it's really difficult to sort of continuously keep up with the what is the gold standard, right? So it's
Right.
always a continuously improving process in an IVF lab. But I do, yeah, I think I really do want to stress that there are your IVF lab, the quality of it is really important. So your quality control, how your lab is designed, the experience of the embryologist, and these are all coming from like published like research papers. Like I'm not
Okay.
just, it's just not a it's not like a feeling that I just like have.
Sure, sure, sure. But when you say quality, I'm civilian over here. How do I know what quality is?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part. Like people on Instagram like text me and they'll say, "Hey, how am I supposed to know if the lab that I'm going to is a good lab or not?"
Right.
And I'm like, I actually don't know how to respond to that question, because if
Yeah.
you're not in the industry, like
Right.
you wouldn't know
What to
what's
look out
good or
for.
bad. Yeah, you wouldn't know what to look out for. The thing that I actually point most patients to is to actually look at the success rates of their clinic and have a look and compare it to other clinics. Um, Success rates is a good indicator. Of course, it's not the whole story,
Hmm.
because every clinic may treat a different cohort of patients. So, for example, if you have one specific clinic that turns away 40-year-olds, then they're always going to have like amazing success rates, right? Because
Ah,
you're only treating young patients. This is a really dramatic example, but I do think in general, clinics with a high success rates are reflective of clinics who try and do their best to maximize it for their patients.
okay. No, and that's a great way to look at that. And also, people could just follow you. And where do they follow you? What's your account?
Yeah. Yeah, they could. Yeah. Please come and follow me on my Instagram account.
What is it? So that way people can look you up.
It's Dr. Lisa Lee, so underscore IVF.
Okay. It'll be in the show notes, so don't worry about it, people. You can just go there and we'll find her. But you have been fascinating, and I seriously appreciate it. Thank you for talking to me in the morning. My sun is going down, as you can see over here. Your sun is going up.
Yeah, yeah, just getting a little brighter. Actually, looks like a really nice day, so I might go for a walk.
Oh, I love that. Well, oh my gosh, I seriously, I thank you so much. I would love to have you back and talk about more things if you're willing.
Yes,
Yeah?
we should. We should. Yeah.
Okay,
Let me
awesome.
know if anybody who watches this have any questions and we can dig a little bit
A
more into it.
follow-up. Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right. Well, have a beautiful day. I was gonna say have a great evening. Have a beautiful day.
You have a great evening.
Thank you. I will. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Holy cow, that was so phenomenal. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm like, that was just amazing. Just thank you. I hope that everybody was able to get some questions answered, some extra education there. And if there's any questions that I didn't ask Lisa or things that you guys would like to know, please send them over. And Lisa has agreed to come back and we can talk some more. If there's a specific topic that you want us to go into, she's happy to do that as well. So send any conversations that you would like us to have my way. And if you have any questions or stories that you would like to share, please feel free to reach out on Instagram at Stop.Sit.Surrogate or at my email at Stop.Sit.Surrogate@gmail.com. And this has been another episode of Stop.Sit.Surrogate. Thanks for listening. Bye, guys.
Before we wrap up, we want to give a huge thank you to our sponsors: Northwest Surrogacy Center, New York Surrogacy Center, Paying It Forward Surrogacy, and Serene Surrogacy Partners. Their continued support helps us share real stories, educate our community, and connect families through the incredible journey of surrogacy. Thanks so much for tuning in to Stop.Sit.Surrogate, where every story matters and every journey is worth sharing. We'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. Also, check out the link to our YouTube channel in the description. And be sure to also check out our children's book, My Mom Has Superpowers, sold on Amazon and Etsy.